Hey guys, welcome to Every Damn Friday. Got a super special guest today, Mr. Zane Williams, singer-songwriter. Played solo for a long, long time, but is now the lead singer and songwriter for the Wilder Blue. Fantastic group. He's such an interesting guy, a true artist, and I think you're going to really enjoy our conversation today. Thank y'all so much. What do you say, Zane Williams?
Howdy, howdy.
Is that a personalized coffee mug?
Yeah, this is and I'm gonna make people jealous here because we don't sell these anymore. This is
Uh,
vintage,
oh,
but
nice.
it's a little Hello World Zane Williams coffee mug.
Well, hello, world. This is Every Damn Friday, and I've got my buddy Zane Williams, lead singer of the Wilder Blue, but songwriter extraordinaire from way back.
Been doing it a minute.
So, where I find you this morning? At home?
Yep, this is my little I jokingly refer to it as the hit shack because I don't know if I have any hits or anything, but hey, if I ever do, maybe this will be where it's written, but this is the shed out in my backyard.
Oh, well, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in the shop. Of course, you've been here on the farm. Uh, this this was my grandfather's shop, and I left it just like it was for like a decade. And kind of my stuff was starting to pile up around it. And I finally just said, Granddad, I'm going to have to, I had to do a purge and kind of make it my own. I felt like 10 years was
Yeah,
long enough. So I
yeah,
hope he understands.
yeah.
So, we met a couple years ago. You guys came and played here at the barn, in Kentucky, uh, on Oaks Day, which is a big deal in Kentucky. It's the day before Derby. And it's still we've had a lot of shows, and that's still the one where everybody's like, "Man, that was the best show that I've ever seen," and it was fantastic. Y'all were so good. Um, but since then, a lot of things have happened. So, kind of for the people that are going to be local listening to this, what things have changed for Wilder Blue since a couple years ago?
It's been a big year. We've had some good milestones. We played the Opry, which was fun. I
Yeah,
played the
bucket
Opry.
list check.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a special evening. It was fun sharing it with the band because I'd played the Opry once as a solo act, but it was a lot more fun with the band. Our dobro banjo guy Andy is a third generation Opry performer now. His parents
Really,
and his grandparents performed on the Opry,
that's crazy.
so that was really special. And then we just had a lot of fans come in from all over to share that night with us. So that was super special. Then we did over the year 12 stadium dates with Luke Combs, and
Like
had our
that,
minds blown.
I was going to say, like that's crazy. Obviously you play lots of bigger venues. But for me, to have had you here for a 200 person venue and in a real intimate, neat setting, and then not too much later, you all start announcing those shows and just watching the videos of that, like how crazy is that?
It's crazy to see how big he is and how much people love him. Um, it's because it's generally 50,000 people a night, 50 to 60,000. And we were just on the Friday night shows. He in all of those markets, he was doing Friday and Saturday night. So he was drawing like 100,000 in each market. And it's just, multiple layer levels of people, and even way up in the nosebleeds, they're just singing along to every song of his.
How
So
did
it
that connection happen?
basically Luke is just a fan of the band, and just over time, he um, eventually introduced us to his manager, and then eventually said he'd like to have us out on tour, so it took a couple of years for it to all happen. But long story short, it's just Luke likes our band and wanted us to be on tour with him.
And he's an awesome guy, and it I love stories where artists who have the power to do those kinds of things, like actually
Hmm.
do like bring people along with them. A
Yeah,
lot of times agencies and the management companies and the labels aren't too keen on that kind of stuff, but he's big enough where he's like, I'm going to bring out my guys.
yeah.
And what's the impact of that been? Like, I mean,
Um,
have you seen like any kind of like big, you know, I don't know, increase in followers or increase in that kind of stuff because of those shows?
I think that it kind of remains to be seen what the final impact is, because when we go back to some of those cities and we do our own headlining show, then we'll really have a better idea. Um, we were the first opening act of four opening acts. It was us, then Haley Witters, then Charles Wesley Godwin, then Cody Jinks, then Luke. So,
Like
um,
Cody's playing stadiums too, so
yeah.
that's crazy.
So when I say there were 50,000 people there for Luke, there were probably 5,000 people there when we started playing. And then our set was just 20 minutes. And then by the end of our 20-minute set, there were probably 10,000 people on average.
Wow.
So it's like people are walking in during our set, they're finding a seat, they're grabbing a beer or whatever, and it's still not even close to half full by the time we're done.
But what a cool
So
discovery to walk in, because listen, like you all are fantastic in the harmonies and the musicianship and the songwriting. Like it's not your regular opening act. Like it's not like the bottom guy in the management group that we're just trying to, throw him out. I mean, you're curated by Luke. I mean that, and I would say there's been a lot of people impressed by that. And I don't want to talk about that too much because that is just to me, I it makes me happy that somebody of his stature recognized you all, and hopefully that makes a big impact. And but I know you're out there crushing it anyway and driving all over the place. At the at the date of this filming, you guys just played Billy Bob's, right?
hmm
Headlined. How was that for a Texas guy?
it was, I mean, that's kind of the pinnacle of Texas gigs. I mean, Green Hall is up there too, and I've played Green Hall a few times. Billy Bob's is, the world's largest honky tonk.
Yeah.
And it's just a staple of the Fort Worth stockyards, and everybody's played there from, Willie to Garth to George to just pretty much everybody. I went and saw Diamond Rio there, um, in the late '90s. When I was in college, and um, so it was.
Saw Diamond Rio at the Kentucky or the FFA National Convention in Kansas City
Uh-huh.
back in 1998.
Nice. FFA National Convention. Well, so it was, another milestone, um, getting the headline there. You know, I mean, I could tell you the whole long story. My old booking agent, he tried to get me on there headlining, and they gave me a Thursday night and said if I drew enough people that they would give me a weekend slot, but I was like 50 people short and I didn't make it. And that
Oh
was like
man.
6 years ago and blah, blah, blah. And so now here we are with the Wilder Blue, and we're headlining, and we had a meet and greet with our hideout, which is our fan club. And and so many of those people have been following me for so long, and a lot of them have helped, fix the van and trailer when they
Mhm.
broke down, and
But
they
you're also
hosted us at their
are
house.
you
And
still driving the semi with the trailer behind it?
yeah, yeah, it's a toter home RV
It's the
thing,
most
made by
badass.
Bandwagon.
It's the most badass tour wagon I've ever seen.
Yeah. We are driving that. We have I mean, like about a year ago, we upgraded to a newer but still used one. But anyway, yeah. And so it was special to have that meet and greet with some of our oldest fans, and then get up there and headline. And, I mean, it was just another Friday night at Billy Bob's, but I mean, it's the largest crowd we've ever drawn just because it's Billy Bob's, there's a
Yeah.
big walk up crowd. And, and, and just as far as the set we put on, I was feeling good. Felt really, good about the show we put
So
on.
that's 3 checks: the Opry as the Wilder Blue,
Hmm.
stadium shows,
Stadiums.
Billy Bob's.
And then we got another one still to check off later this year. Red Rocks.
Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah. I was gonna say that's on everybody's list too. Who-
Yeah.
Is
So
that show announced already or?
yeah, we're doing it with it'll be us and then Randy Rogers band and then Flatland Cavalry.
Oh man,
Cavalry. And so um so that'll be cool. That's coming up, I believe, in October. And we also have a bunch of cool shows to look forward to with Midland and with Charles Wesley Godwin.
saw
We've got
that
a
you're
couple.
playing the Shed, I think, in Tennessee, in Maryville with him.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
I just had an interview the other day with a guy that's played a lot with Charles Wesley. What a neat, it, again, a neat circle of musicians that you're finding yourself kind of aligned with that are just they're also out there crushing it too. So man,
Yeah.
it seems like things are like it's happening the right way, you know.
Well, I I think so. The um one of the reasons I started this band to begin with is I didn't even read the book. I just read the dust jacket of the book. It was a marketing book, and the premise was, hey, how about instead of, you know, trying to figure out the latest marketing trend, why don't you just spend your time and effort making your core product 10% better so that you stand out from the competition because you're actually just better.
Yeah.
And I was that got me thinking about, how could I make better music than I'd ever made? And that was a that was one of the different things that clicked in my head that made me decide to actually go start this band because it was a big deal. I'm a solo act. I've been doing it for a long time. I got a fan base. I got 7 albums and stuff, and to leave
You're
that
kind of
behind and
rebranding.
start a band, right? The rebrand was a big deal. It was a big shakeup. My booking agent at the time was not happy about it
Like,
and
what are you
left.
doing,
And
asshole? Like, what?
yeah,
How can I sell this band? I don't.
right. And so it was a big, and I had to try to figure out how to gracefully transition away from the band that I was already playing with, and all that stuff. So it was
And you're
not
pretty
easy,
much a
but
super group.
well,
I mean, as far as like Texas folks, I mean that you didn't just have like a audition at the local guitar center. I mean,
no, I mean, that's part of what I realized though is that a lot of the bands that I love just sort of are super groups. I mean, you know, the Beatles, the Eagles, obviously those are great bands, but even like Turnpike Troubadours, there's multiple singer-songwriters in that band. R.C. Edwards writes some of their tunes, and
yeah.
Kyle Nix has some solo albums, and he writes and plays. And then the Randy
And
Rogers band,
as a singer, it's nice to be able to say, "Hey, I'm taking this song off. You got
yeah,
this one."
yeah,
And
and I think it's fun for the audience too. Obviously, if the other person is good,
yeah,
but it's a we do that. That's something that we are able to do in our live show is, you know, okay, we've been doing this for 5 or 6 tunes. Now let's go do over here and do something totally different. Paul's going to sing you one, and I'm going to play accordion, and he's going to blow your mind. And then, and then Lyndon's going to sing one back there on the drums, and so I think it just kind of keeps shocking people, like, oh, whoa, whoa, oh, they can do that, oh, they can do that.
yeah. I mean,
So
because like you said, it's like after 3 or 4 songs, they may go, "All right, I get what's going on here," and then you throw them the sinker.
yeah. So I mean, We are, and so that's, I guess that's what I was saying is a lot of bands are that are successful are multi-talented. Randy Rogers Band is another example I was going to give of Johnny Chops is the bass player. He's a singer-songwriter, and he's written some of their songs that I really, really like. And I should know more about that band and what all they do, but they're all, special and unique and basically bringing multiple things to the table, not just playing an instrument.
And you can't just, it's not like kind of the Nashville thing where they're not just hired guns. Like you can't just replace one of those people when they leave, and that makes it special.
Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously for us with the harmonies, that's, you know, you can always hire singers to come sing on your record and do some cool harmony parts, but it's kind of lame if you can't do it live. And so that's, I'd always kind of held off on that. But with the Wilder Blues, since we're actually the ones we actually can do it live, then basically I can just let my imagination run wild
And you're not
on
just two
harmony
part or
parts.
three part, you're four part. Do you ever do five?
Five.
You do five
Yeah.
also? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, most chords don't have five notes to choose from, but we have flexibility. Then we can double people up on certain parts if we want a certain note to be louder than the other notes. We can basically color the chord or weight the chord, high or low. We can have somebody go sing the same part an octave up or an octave down. And we're always doing that where we're like, how about Andy, you take Paul's part. Paul, you sing my part an octave up and let's see what that sounds like. Or then like,
uh,
no, let's how about Lyndon and Andy, you guys double each other on the tenor part and let's do blah blah blah. We're always messing
and
around
as a
with that.
fun side, listeners, you all should go check out their videos where they do take major songs and sing them in minor. Like, those are my
Yeah.
favorites.
Yeah,
What about
those are
Brent
a mind
Cobb?
trip.
How'd you get hooked up with old Brent?
Well, so Brent was aware of my stuff, my Zane Williams stuff. Um, and so we had never really met or hung out, but at least sort of knew of each other. And then we were hanging out at Outlaws and Legends, a festival in Abilene, Texas.
Okay.
And that was where I first met Brent, and he invited me up on stage to sing a song with him that night, and we just kind of hung out and hit it off. And um, when we were basically thinking about producers and maybe doing an album with more of a rootsy, funky feel, maybe not so clean, but a little bit more
He is pretty greasy.
soul and funk on it. Yeah, a little grease on it. Um, I just I found out that he was doing some producing, which I didn't know at first. But once I found that out, and I went back and listened to a bunch of stuff. He's done a bunch of records with his cousin Dave
Yeah.
Cobb, who's a big name producer. And Dave's great. But I listened to stuff that Brent did with Dave, and I listened to stuff that Brent did on his own,
Like Paradise
that he
Canyon and some
self
of that
produced.
stuff. So it's like,
And I love it, and so I could tell that a lot of that aesthetic was coming from Brent himself, and so I was like, let's just get that guy. If nothing else, how could it go wrong? And we'll just get to know each other better. Maybe we'll write a song, and we did. We wrote a song, Supernatural, that we wrote it in the studio and recorded it the next morning, and so that was a lot of fun to be able to
y'all
do.
both you both have a cadence about you. Like, he's he's like, kind of got that Roger Miller drawl, but it's like he almost, and he jokes about it, like he almost like sings like he's rapping a little bit sometimes, and
Hmm.
just a neat cadence, and you do too, and the how I can visualize the things that you're talking about. It is always it it's one thing that to have a good melody and all that, but you obviously you've worked on this craft for a long time, and you've gotten pretty damn good at it, bud.
Yeah, it's a lot of balls to juggle at the same time, right? Because you want it to have a great melody, but you want it to have memorable lyrics, but you want the lyrics to be conversational, and you want them to be genuine, but you also want them to be sort of iconic, but you also they have to match the melody. But then, then in addition to all that, though, then you've got the groove, which is a huge part of it. And the production makes a huge difference on certain styles of song, and just all that goes together, man. I remember back before, back when I was just a listener to the radio when I was like in high school, I would listen and I would wonder, because I had these chord books where I could play guitar and it would tell me the chords of the song,
Yeah,
but there was so much else going on in the recording that I was listening to on the radio, and I was like, who comes up with all of that stuff, and how does that relate to these chords that I'm reading in this book? And nowadays, I mean, the fact is it's complicated, and nowadays I have a lot better understanding of all of the different pieces of the process and the puzzle, the way they all fit together. And it's still not easy because, and that's why I think a lot of the best songs, people say, sort of just come to them and they write them quickly or whatever. It's because there's so many things that you have to be thinking about that it's almost better if you just sort of just do it instinctually, and it just almost, that's why a lot of
kind of be
people
a
say,
conduit.
yeah, it almost just sort of it just occurred to you and it appeared to you as if it had always kind of been there, because
I know
there's
my
some
wife
parts.
used to say, she used to laugh at me when I would write, when I would really, really like think think I had something special, and she'd go, "No, you wrote that for your musician friends." Like that, she was like always like the average radio listener, and that was
Yeah,
important because she could say, she was like, "It's either good or it's not," and didn't
right.
intellectualize it. And so yeah, there's a real fine line between being real technical and having all these elements and layers, and then it, like you said, being something that somebody can sing the chorus, it's the first time they hear it.
Right. And you can, and that's why you can have some kid who knows three chords on the guitar write some amazing song, and it's the first song they've ever written. They're just doing it instinctually, and they're not even aware of all the different balances that they're striking, and things that
Much like
they're,
like a Zane Bryan
crafting.
or a Zach Bryan.
Zach
Like,
Bryan, yeah.
yeah, I mean, like he's admittedly like, I'm not a good musician, and I don't have experience. I'm just doing it, just comes out, and it's connected. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of power in that too.
Yeah,
Hurt yourself. You hurt yourself a couple, was it a month or so ago, 2 months ago?
it
What
was
the hell
back in
happened?
January. Yeah.
What'd you do, man?
Man,
Was it something
I've
stupid, or was it?
yeah, I've never been accused of having a lot of common sense. I'm So anyway, I was cleaning oil off of our generator on our bus, while it was running, and it has a radiator on it, and the radiator has a fan that spins, and it sticks out from the shroud a little further than I realized, and the tips of the blades are kind of invisible when they're spinning that fast. And long story short, my hand got too close to the fan, and the fan just chopped it.
uh, got chewed up.
And I looked back later. I was like, how could I have been so dumb? And it's part of it's that there's a sort of an optical illusion where it looks like it's fully contained within the shroud, but it actually sticks out a half an inch from the shroud, but it's sort of invisibly sticks out. And there's a guard that's supposed to be there
So in your
that
head,
had
you're
been
thinking,
removed.
I'm good.
Yeah, and then there was a guard that was supposed to be there that had been removed, which made me feel a little bit better. Like at least somebody thought about that. It is a safety hazard on that thing, but whatever. I should have turned the generator off before I started working on it. But
So how did you get through those shows? Did you have fill in on guitar?
yeah, so luckily January is pretty slow for us anyway. I mean, we were headed to the studio that day. That's why I was getting the bus ready, is to go to the studio. So instead of going to the studio, I went to the hospital. I got 29 stitches. I didn't have to have surgery. And so basically then I went to the studio later that day and we recorded 3 songs, and the rest of the guys played acoustic guitar. I mean, Andy and Paul are both better guitar players than I am anyway. So they played. And then as far as gigs went, we didn't have any gigs for a little while. And then I just had to, my hand was just this stiff paddle. It was all swollen. And I just had to be able to just at least hold a pick. And it took me about a month to be able to hold a pick. So I did end up having to do a couple of gigs where I couldn't play and I just sang and just grooved around and sang
That's
and
the
didn't know what
weirdest
to do with
feeling.
my hand, with my paddle hand.
For
Uh,
somebody who plays all the time, it's the worst when they take it
yeah,
away and
yeah.
you're holding the mic and
I'm
it.
like, hey everybody, what's going on? I'm gonna sing some songs. And but then, then I finally progressed where I could actually at least just hold a pick and strum. And then after that, it hurt, but I could do it. And then after that, I was back to normal by, like, let's see, when we played the Opry was March or April, and I was, pretty
So
much
you were
back to
kind of
normal
pushing
by
it.
then. Yeah.
Um, you've got a single out right now. Um, Pass it on down. Is
Hmm.
that off of an upcoming record?
Yeah, so we've released 3 singles this year. I'm Your Man, Still in the Running, and Pass It On Down. And those 3 songs, plus a single that we released a couple years ago, Learning My Lesson,
Yeah,
with Wes Bayless from the Steelwoods.
yeah,
All
yeah.
4 of those songs, we're going to gather together and make them a part of album 4,
Right.
which with along with 6 other songs that have not been released yet. And that it's going to come out in the spring, we're thinking. And I am very excited. The we we self-produced this batch, partly just out of convenience and necessity, because we were sort of doing it here and there while we were on the road doing other things. We recorded some of it in Texas, but we recorded some of it in LA when we were on the road, and some of it in North Carolina when we were on the road. And that was cool because it kind of proved to us that when we're self-producing and playing all the parts ourselves and everything, we can pretty much just go to any good studio and do our thing, and
Yeah.
it's gonna work out and be cohesive. Um, so, and we the main thing I would say about this new album, album 4, we haven't named it yet, is that we got a little ambitious, man. I think some of the songs had sort of an epic nature to them, and we spent some time on them, and um, we stretched ourselves, and that's what I'm that's what I wanted to do. That's what I want to do even more of with this band, is like, okay, we have 5 singers, we have all this musical diversity of what the guys in the band can do. Like what can we what can we do? I like a lot of music from the 70s, and it was pretty epic back then, and pretty, like, just kind of all over the map, uh genre wise. It was like hard to classify, and it was
Well,
just kind of
you're an Eagles fan, and they were all over the place, and because
right.
they had all those different influences, and
Yeah.
and there's a lot of groundbreaking going on with and I don't say groundbreaking, but stretching, like you said, like Billy Strings is like getting really cosmic with bluegrass, and and I
Right.
think people are really starting to dig that kind of stuff. Like, how do we take the thing that we know and really kind of spin it on its head a little bit?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like you
And
said, with all that talent, like there's really no ceiling as far as like what they're not going to say I can't do that. They're going to say, yeah, let's do it. I can try that.
yeah. Yeah. So we got, um, there's some of the vocals on one of the tunes that remind me a little bit of Queen. Like,
Oh.
it's like serious vocals.
Yeah.
And this that kind of thing where it's like, I mean, we can do it. Why not let's do it. Let's try it. And I mean, my background is just a solo singer songwriter coffee house type guy. So it's a process for me to over the years I've learned how to be a band leader and how to what the band brings to the table, and and sort of integrate that into my songwriting, where as I'm writing a song I'm imagining what the band can do, and that's a whole kind of a different ball game. And I'm still fumbling down that road in the dark, as we all do in creative work. We don't know exactly where it's going to go. We just know it's going to probably be cool if we go this way.
No, and when you're starting with an acoustic guitar, like there's so many things that it can be, it's all said and done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
when
there
should
was it.
we expect that?
Spring, spring. I can't say for sure because I think we're gonna look around a little bit here in the next month or two for partners that might want to help us promote it and put it out and stuff. And so until we lock that down, we won't know for sure what the schedule is, because it'll kind of depend on how that stuff plays out. But
It's hard to be patient
spring.
with the new good stuff.
Yeah,
You're
that's
excited.
that's why I like our fan patron thing on our website, our subscriber thing. It's already all up there.
Okay.
So that's for our subscribers and our fan patrons, $5 a month at thewilderblue.com. We just put it up there as we create it. So
Okay.
guitar
That's
vocals of stuff
that's
I
very
just wrote,
cool.
yeah, and just rough mixes and all that stuff, and that helps scratch the itch for me, because it's like I want to talk about all these songs, but they're not going to be out for like a
Yeah.
while, and so yeah.
Well, so fans want to check stuff out, thewilderblue.com, correct?
hmm
And would you say your fan club is called?
It's called The Hideout, and it's $5 a month. You can pay more if you want to. We view it as sort of like a patron of the arts type
Yeah.
deal. People are always asking us how they can help us out, and we're an independent band. Um, this is how that subscription money is how we financed records 2, 3, and 4. That's our recording budget, which is awesome, because then that means that we can go kind of be creative in the studio and not worry about money as much. And also we own our own music, and it just gives us a lot of creativity. I think the fans that are on it like it because there's no middlemen involved, there's no algorithms, there's no spam, there's no bots. It's just us. There's a little forum where we interact. There's an audio vault that has all of the stuff we've ever recorded, demos that we did, alternate versions of songs, like I said, guitar vocals of stuff that we haven't recorded yet but may someday, that kind of stuff. We've got some members only merch. I've been working on some like guitar lessons to put on there of how to
Okay.
play our tunes, just stuff like that somebody who's a real fan of the band might find some value in, that we can do digitally online. I mean, we got the internet,
Yeah.
and
Sitting in a shed, I'm sitting in a shop. Yeah.
yeah,
Take advantage of it.
right. And so that's called The Hideout, and Man, it's fun. We got over 500 members, and it's growing, and we're kind of revamping it right now to try to make the user interface even better. And I definitely, I'm not a huge fan of social media and sort of
Yeah,
what it
necessary
does
evil.
to us mentally, and you sort of, I like it. I like being able to interact with people, but I don't like, where you sort of build up a whole bunch of fans on a certain platform, and then that platform can shut you down if they want, which, has sort of happened to me on Facebook. My Facebook used to be growing by leaps and bounds, and then one day it just kind of turned off like a faucet, and now I've got to like pay money to promote my
Oh, yeah,
post if
the
if
it's like the
anybody's going
pusher
to see it.
man.
Yeah. And so, normally you think of it, oh, it's like they could shut you down if it's a political thing or something, but really they can even just shut you down and just start charging you
This guy's doing
to,
too good on his own. Like we need to get in
yeah,
on
to reach your own fan base. And so on our website, it's our fan base that we own and control. And so we like that. We pick random hideout members to have a beer on the bus and stuff,
it.
sometimes before a show and that kind of a thing.
Well, guys, like,
So
please go to thewaterblue.com, get their merch. My dad wears his water blue t-shirt all the time, very proudly. And my signed record that I got while y'all were here that you were promoting at the time is one of my prized possessions. Um, it was I was so honored that you guys came. It was kind of like a you know you kind of set the bar for me from then on out. It's like, look, we can't go down from here. Like we've got to keep having great music, and it's been easy for y'all to say no, but I appreciate you all being a part of that. I've got a really cool picture of you I need to share with you. You were sitting down by the pond and in your lawn chair, just kind of hanging out before the show. Um,
yeah.
it was a special day, and I I'm just so excited, and it's awesome to see that you guys are continuing to grow and continue to make music. And I wish you nothing but the best. I want you to have all the success, um, and maybe someday when you're slumming again, you can come play the old Randall Barn one more time. I'm afraid you're out of my price range now, Zane.
Well, I don't know if that's true. I kind of doubt it, especially if the routing works out. So
There you go.
I
Well, maybe,
believe me, we're still very much in that working class status, but things are growing, and like I said, I think album 4 is gonna be cool. We had a lot of milestones this year. It's possible that next year is gonna be a big year for us. We'll see.
well, I
I
hope so.
wouldn't be shocked.
Well, I wouldn't be shocked either, buddy. Um, thank you so much for spending some time with me this morning. I know you're a busy guy. You probably got a hit song to write there in the hit shack. Um,
Mm, I
so
definitely need to practice my guitar.
there you go. Well, thank you, Zane. And thanks everybody for watching every damn Friday. And go out and follow the Wilder Blue if you're not already. Um, they're one of the best bands out there. So thank you all so much.
Thanks, Josh.